Hello, everyone. I'm Linda Zippo, President and CEO of the Center for Nonprofits, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's web briefing about PSE&G's Energy Saver program and energy assistance for nonprofits. I'm going to share a little bit of information and some announcements before turning things over to Hardley Dumont at PSE&G. For those of you not familiar with the Center for Nonprofits, we are New Jersey's state association for the nonprofit community. Since 1982, the center has strengthened New Jersey's nonprofits individually and collectively to improve the quality of life for the people of our state. Our programs include advocacy, education, professional training, expert information and referral, cost-saving membership programs, and much more. So please feel free to check our website or contact us to find out more. The organization is also part of a national network called the National Council of Nonprofits. Approximately 40 other states have state associations of nonprofits like ours, and this is the nation's largest network of nonprofits, more than 25,000 nonprofit members strong. So if you are a member of the Center for Nonprofits, you are also a member of the National Council of Nonprofits. And if your organization is a member of the center, we thank you for supporting and being involved in this work as we pursue it together. If you're not a member, we hope you'll consider joining. And membership offers access to a wide array of benefits, and it also helps to amplify the collective work of our state's nonprofits. If you join by September 30th and you use the discount code ADVOCATE, you can get 10% off your dues for the coming year. So please feel free to visit our website and to contact us to find out more. I do want to call your attention to a couple of events going on now or coming up soon. The first is our Coping in Tough Times webinar series, which has been taking place Wednesdays during the month of September. And this will be capped off by a virtual networking session on October 7th. We're exploring the nonprofit landscape, navigating financial uncertainty, talking about governance, organizational structure, employee and morale issues, marketing, fundraising, and much more. This series is free for center members and very nominally priced for others, so please check it out. And if you actually are not a member when you enroll in the series or in an individual workshop and you join within a month, you can actually credit the webinar fee toward your membership. But this has been a very popular series and there's so much going on right now, so we certainly encourage you to take a look at that. One of our signature programs is our annual conference, the largest annual conference for nonprofits in the state, which combines forward-thinking insights with great connections, practical tools, and takeaways. And like so many others, we've had to rethink our conference due to COVID-19, but we are thrilled to announce that we are going to be holding it virtually this year on December 2nd and 3rd. Reflecting the current times, this year's focus is reckoning, reshaping, rebuilding, and we'll explore how nonprofits can navigate, lead, and reimagine themselves during this time of turbulence and transformation. So save the dates, stay tuned for more. Finally, two quick PSAs before we dive in. First of all, tomorrow, September 22nd, is National Voter Registration Day. Please be sure to check your voter registration status, be sure that you're registered and plan to vote. There's a lot that nonprofits can do to conduct nonpartisan voter engagement, so contact us if you'd like more information. We did a webinar with the League of Women Voters of New Jersey last month, and it was very, very popular. League of Women Voters has really extraordinary information, so contact us if you'd like to find out more. Finally, time is running out for data collection for the 2020 census. Unless something changes, data collection will stop at the end of this month. And as you know, the census determines distribution of billions of dollars in funding, as well as electoral representation and more for the next 10 years. So please be sure that everyone in your networks has been counted and spread the word. There's still a lot that can be done in these last few days, and please do that. Before we dive in, if you have any questions or technical difficulties, please enter your question into the chat box or question box. Feel free to ask substantive questions at any time. There will be time for question and answer during the presentation. And if something can't be answered during the session, we'll do our best to follow up afterward. So feel free to stay in touch with the center, follow us on social media, visit our website, and we look forward to staying in touch with you. But now I am excited to introduce Hardly Dumont, the program manager for Public Service Electric and Gas Company, PSE&G, and their Energy Saver program, which provides financial incentives and expertise to help government agencies, nonprofits, and small businesses become more energy efficient. Prior to joining PSE&G, Hardly worked on behalf of New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, helping to manage the authority's new construction program. He holds a BA in Environmental Studies from Pace University, and it is my pleasure to welcome him today. Hardly, let me turn things over to you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Linda, for this awesome opportunity to speak to your members. I'm very, very excited to be able to talk about our Energy Saver program. Like Linda graciously stated, my name is Hardly Dumont. I'm currently the program manager of the Energy Saver program. So you have a quick agenda today. I anticipate, given no questions, it'll probably be about 15 to 20 minutes of information, but please feel free to interrupt with questions. I like it to be very interactive, and it's not a problem to me at all. Just a quick agenda. We will go over the program overview. I do have some case studies to show the impact of our program, and I'm also going to take a quick dive to our webpage to show how easy it is to actually complete the initial application form directly on our website. Currently, we are talking about our Energy Saver program. This is a $15 million program that is approved by New Jersey Board of Public Utilities. Now, the purpose of this program is to provide a turnkey solution to key critical customer segments of PSEG's customer population to upgrade their facility with energy efficient equipment. And the beauty of this program is that it is no money up front. PSE&G pays for 70% of the cost. 70% of the cost just disappears, and the remaining 30% of the cost of the project is financed interest-free directly on your PSE&G bill. Now, the type of upgrades that we do to your facility is specifically any type of equipment that will lower your energy cost. And so our goal is to make your facility as energy efficient as possible and to make you save as much money on a monthly, annual basis in terms of energy usage. And the type of equipment that we typically upgrade or replace to more energy efficient options are lighting, a very expensive cooling equipment, things that are typically on the roof or split systems, and boilers. We also replace commercial food equipment, like commercial kitchens or refrigerators. The beauty of our program is that typically the savings, about 90 to 95% of the time, the savings that you would see from upgrading your equipment actually pays for the 30% monthly fee that would appear on your PSE&G bill. So 95% of the time, what really happens is you will have an upgraded facility, 70% of the cost PSE&G pays for. The 30% is typically paid by your cash savings that you would be really paying in your bill to PSE&G. Those savings will pay for the 30% cost on your PSE&G bill for the 3 years. And after the 3 years, those savings are directly flowing into your bottom line. Any questions so far? And so what I want to talk about is our process. And like I stated, PSE&G really prides ourselves in being as turnkey and seamless as possible. One critical deadline is that for the $15 million, we do have a deadline of September 30th. So I implore everyone to go directly on our webpage, which I'll show you how to do in a second, to simply get in queue to be eligible to take advantage of the available program funds. And so the first step is really focusing on that September 30th deadline, which is to complete an audit access agreement or AAA form. Once this form is completed, you're not obligated to do anything. If you decide to not move forward with the program, that's not a problem. But what this does ensure and guarantee is that once this form is completed, you are in queue and now eligible to take advantage of the available $15 million. Typically, our program is oversubscribed. There's typically too much demand and not enough funds. So I strongly encourage you, if you are interested, to go to our website and complete the very easy form in order to lock your place to take advantage of the available funds. Now, once that form is completed, our program vendors, we only have two in PSE&G service territory, Tri-State and Wildan. And we do that because we want to ensure that you have a seamless process. You don't have to go through the hassle of comparing bids and proposals. We have entered into a relationship with these two particular vendors to ensure the utmost quality and customer service. And so therefore, part of this turnkey service we provide is that our vendor would go directly to your facility, walk it, and identify all eligible equipment that can be replaced and upgraded through our program. So they'll identify all the lighting fixtures, they'll identify really old boilers or HVAC equipment. And once that audit is complete, they'll come back and develop a proposal and present the proposal to you. This proposal will include all the make and models of the equipment, proposed equipment. You will get to see your actual cash flow analysis based on estimated rates, but you will see you can make an informed decision based on the proposal received to see if this deal makes sense for you or not. If you do decide to move forward with this program, you enter into an agreement directly with PSE&G, not with our vendor. So, and that repayment agreement basically states that PSE&G is committed to paying all the funds upfront, which means that you should never receive an invoice from our vendor. Once you sign the contract, PSE&G the construction will begin immediately. Our vendors will order the equipment and install it, and there should be no direct invoice to you as PSE&G's customer. Once the project is complete and is to your satisfaction, then and only then will the 30% repayment obligation will appear about 2 to 3 months after installation is complete on your PSE&G bill. So to quickly summarize, to start the process, you simply have to complete a non-obligatory web interest form called the AAA, and that guarantees your spot to be eligible to take advantage of the current amount of $15 million. Once that is done, our vendor will contact you to schedule an audit of your facility. Once the audit is complete, they'll generate a proposal, and you can customize it to fit exactly your needs. If you want something done or a certain area to be completed or certain HVAC equipment, it's completely customizable to fit your needs. And once you sign off on the project, you enter an agreement with PSE&G, where PSE&G is committed to paying the vendor 100% of the total project cost to implement and install your scope of work, your proposal. And you, the customer, agree to repay PSE&G only 30% of the project cost interest-free on your PSE&G bill. So there's no interest at all on the 30% that appears over 3 years on your PSE&G bill. Questions?
We are a nonprofit in negotiations to purchase a 2-story, 12,000 square foot office building in Middlesex County. Would we be eligible for the audit before we close on the property?
That's a fantastic question. And so for eligibility, we like to confirm that you're in the space for at least 12 months. Now, if you're going to purchase the building, then yes, typically you would have to wait at least 12 months in the space, because we need to confirm that you are on average usage of about 200 kW or below. And so if I can back up a little bit on the, you can see my screen, peak electric usage. So the 2 main criteria is really to ensure that you have a decent bill payment history with PSE&G. And that means you don't owe PSE&G more than $20,000. And if you do, we can work with you to bring down that balance so you can take advantage of this program. And that over a span of 12 months, your average kW usage or PKW usage does not exceed 200 kW. And that can range anywhere from an office building really could be about 30,000 square feet and above, or below rather, will qualify for that typically. But you have to be in the space for at least 12 months. Does that answer your question?
I will encourage the person to put something else in if it doesn't, but there are a couple more questions I want to mention, but there are a couple more questions, and again, if you're going to get to this in the presentation, just let me know. One person's asking, when does the payback begin?
So the payback begins after construction is complete or installation is complete and you're satisfied with the service, with the work. So it would begin after the installation is completely done.
Okay. Another question, can you only use one of PSEG's vendors, or can I use my own vendor?
Fantastic question. You can only use our program vendors, but I assure you, these vendors are very experienced and they will provide excellent service in terms of customer service, quality of the equipment, and very efficient and quick installation. But
Okay.
it is only eligible to our vendors.
Okay. The kilowatt usage, is that per property to total per agency?
Oh, fantastic question. It is limited to each facility. So a agency can have multiple buildings or locations. So eligibility is confirmed by each PSE&G account number. And typically an account number is representative of a building or space.
So on a similar note, my agency has multiple buildings across the city of Camden. Would each location need to complete the AAA form and energy audit?
Yes, each facility and location represents their own application.
Okay. Are rentals eligible, or only if we own the property?
Another fantastic question. Yes, Actually, tenants are eligible to participate. We only ask that if you're a tenant in the space, we require that the owner of the facility signs off on the agreement as an acknowledgement that they're aware that there are upgrades being made to their facility.
All right. Does this include if you want to go solar?
Yes, we do not discriminate against customers who are interested in installing solar panels, even if it means you are to become a net energy producer. So therefore, by doing the energy efficiency upgrades and installing solar, you will be continuously getting potentially a credit on your bill. That is not a disqualification to participate in our program. That's not a problem at all.
Okay, couple more. We only use PSE&G for natural gas. JCP&L is our electric provider. Are we still eligible?
Absolutely. The only requirement is to have a PSE&G account. Does not have to be electric, does not have to be gas. As long as it is a PSE&G valid current account number, you can participate in our program.
Okay, let's see. I think we answered the question about the multiple sites, one AAA form for each facility. Somebody, again, back to the rental question, somebody needs to know, do they need a 3-year plus rental agreement in order to, if they're renting their space, would they need to have a 3-year or longer rental agreement in order to be eligible?
No, we are not. We don't check the length of your lease. It's really a business decision with each customer if it makes sense for you. It's very common for the tenant and the landlord to enter into some type of arrangement if there is an option or possibility that the tenant will not be there for at least 3 years. But for PSE&G's perspective, it does not matter. We just want to be sure that if you are a tenant, that we have documentation via signature that the owner of the facility is aware of these upgrades being considered.
So if the tenant moves out, and then as far as the obligation to repay, that falls where?
That would fall on the account holder. So if there is an arrangement made that the landlord would be paying for this, we go toward the landlord. If the arrangement is for the tenant, then once that account number becomes final or closed, that the remaining balance would be owed in full, but you can always transfer it to a new account number. So by default, if the account number is closed, then the remaining balance will be due all at once in one time. But it's a simple call to myself or the PSE&G customer service, and they'll transfer the remaining balance to a new PSE&G account number.
Couple questions about cost, which you may not be able to address, but one question is, what is the approximate total cost for a 5,000 square foot commercial building? And the other is, if PSEG is paying 100% and the customer is paying 30% back over 3 years, what's the monthly dollar amount to the utility bill?
It really varies. And so the beauty of our program is that it's really custom tailored to the scope of work of what is eligible or what's in the facility that needs to be upgraded. And so the project sizes vary greatly. Our smallest project I've ever participated in is $500. And the largest project is almost $700,000. And so the variety in the project cost, of course, is geared directly to the type of equipment that's being replaced. Typically, HVAC equipment are very capital intensive, and that's what attributes to the exorbitant project costs, but it varies greatly. And so it's really site specific to what one is eligible for replacement, and two, from the customer's perspective, what do you want to upgrade at this moment in time?
Couple questions about specific types of things that might or might not be covered. One is, are hot water heaters included? And the other is, are windows and the envelope facade of a building included as well, or is all of this mechanical?
Great question. We do do water heaters, I believe up to 50 gallons. And we do not do insulation. We do not replace windows. We do not add building facade insulation. And the reason being is that we want to be very prudent with, for you, the customer, and it's really public funds that we're using to do this program. And so typically, historically, insulation does not pay for itself within the measure life. So it does add to comfort, but it is not the best place to invest your capital in order to get a return on your investment to lower your energy bills efficiently and quickly. What I wanted to show here is just some case studies, and we do have case studies broken out by customer segment on our website. This, of course, this webinar is geared toward nonprofit customers, but there are 3 customer types that are eligible to take advantage of this program. Not in addition to nonprofit customers, we also serve our small business community. Currently, they have to be located within an urban enterprise zone. And finally, our government customers. So any type of municipal, county, regional government customer can take advantage of this program. So here, what you see are case studies of our previous participants. This is the county of Bergen that completed several buildings worth, and the upgrades were over $150,000, and that translated into almost $50,000 a year in a reduction in energy cost, representing almost a 40% reduction. Here, for the Pagoda Township or Borough of Pagoda, we invested over $80,000, which translated to about $6,000 a year in energy cost reduction, representing almost 50% reduction in energy usage. And again, the scope of the project is typically energy intensive equipment like lighting, HVAC, heating and cooling equipment. Now, what I wanted to do is take a tour on our website to show how easy it is to sign up for our program. So this is our webpage. It is PSEG.com/Energy Saver. And if you scroll down here, you can see videos of Bergen County Zoo, which we've done a couple of years ago. And I believe this is New Brunswick Library that we completed as well. And if you click on here, apply now, this web page pops up. It gives you a brief rundown of what we just discussed about the eligibility rules and a web form. If you just provide your critical information, first name, last name, account number, you can confirm your customer type. If you're a nonprofit, you can take advantage and provide the supporting documentation to ensure you're eligible. Typically for nonprofits, we work with nonprofit customers that are 501c3 or C19. I know there may be a few nonprofits who are able to operate without actually having the distinction of 501c3 tax exempt status. Typically, that is applied to religious organizations. If you do not have your 501c3 letter tax exemption from the IRS, you can still participate if you're located within an urban enterprise zone. But generally speaking, we do require that the nonprofit customers are tax exempt, either C3 or C19. So this web form is very simple. You simply were to provide your first name, last name, account number, name, contact information, and you hit submit. And once that is completed, this information will be sent to both PSE&G and the assigned vendor. And the vendor will contact you within 48 hours to discuss the next steps and, of course, to schedule the facility audit. And that is it. And if you scroll down, of course, you'll see some more information, but you'll also find case studies listed here as well. And now I will go back to the presentation, a preview of what we just demonstrated on the website. Now, if you, when you submit the web form, it will also provide a link to the audit access agreement. This audit access agreement can be completed in various ways directly from our website. Our vendor can send you a link to complete it as well, but it is listed here for your convenience. Now, what I want to do is provide the vendors that is assigned, the two vendors that are assigned for our program and how they are distributed across our service territory. So the orange represents Willdan Energy Solutions. They're typically in the central and north areas of our service territory. So they cover Bergen, Hudson, Mercer, Middlesex, Morris, and Passaic County. Robert Vidari is the program manager for Willdan Energy Solutions. So what I'm listing here is the contact information of the manager from our vendor side to ensure that you're speaking to a decision maker and that your request or your interest in a program will not fall through the cracks. Tri-State Light and Energy typically serves our central and southern territories, shaded here in yellow, and which covers Burlington, Camden, Essex, Gloucester, Huntington, Monmouth, Ocean, Somerset, and Union counties within PSE&G. And Martha Galbraith is the equivalent to Robert Vidari, is the program manager for specifically our program for Tri-State Light and Energy. And that is the end of my presentation. Are there any more questions?
Yes, there have been a few coming in the chat, so bear with me for a minute. First of all, thank you, Hardley, for this great information, for this wonderful program that PSEG is providing. Okay, let me scroll back up here. Back to the question about rental. If a nonprofit rents for, say, 2 years, if a subsequent renter is not a nonprofit, is there a problem or penalty?
No. And are you saying from the person who is paying for the equipment?
I assume it comes back to the question before. If a nonprofit does not have a lease for 3 years, and if they subsequently vacate the property, are they on the hook, or is somebody on the hook? Is the landlord on the hook if the subsequent tenant is not what would have been an eligible group?
No, so think of it as the eligibility of the account holder at the time. And so the balance would travel with the account holder. And so let's say nonprofit A is in a location for 2 years and they found a better location with a better deal, nicer space. The remaining balance that was left to be repaid to PSE&G, 12 months of payments, would transfer to their new account. And it would just appear as a line item on their facility, on their PSEG bill rather.
So if they
So
move to a new PSEG somewhere else in PSEG's territory, the obligation follows them. And if
correct.
they move, say, out of PSE&G's territory, let's say to JCP&L or somebody else, how is the obligation handled then?
So it can, by default, that balance would be, the remaining balance would be due in full if the account is closed unexpectedly. But a call to PSEG customer service or to myself, we can transfer the remaining balance to any account number or any account that the customer chooses. So if there is an arrangement with the landlord or owner of the facility to pay the remaining balance, we can do that transfer. If the original customer is moving to a new facility or moving out of the service territory, then the remaining balance will be due in full.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, a couple questions back to the forms. I believe you said that an online form needs to be submitted for each location. I know you said that the AAA has to be submitted for each location, but I assume does the interest form also need to be submitted for each location?
In order to confirm your queue, I would. You can list in the comment section multiple account numbers, but there is a risk that those additional account numbers listed in the comment section may fall through the cracks or may not register in time. And so I would encourage you to submit a web interest form for each location. Or you can also complete one form and call our vendor, and our vendor will do the legwork for you by just capturing your account number and putting you into the queue on your behalf.
What about the PDF participation form on the PSEG website? So I don't know if that kind of advanced farther along in the process or how that works, but the question is,
So
go ahead.
No, so the PDF form on the website is essentially the AAA. We provide multiple avenues. You can pre-populate that form and send it to our vendor, and our vendor would you would be ahead essentially in the process in scheduling your facility audit. Our vendors would appreciate it, but it can be done also electronically on your behalf. By our vendors.
Okay.
But you have multiple avenues on completing that.
Back to, you were talking about what kinds of things are covered and insulation is not, but there's a question about does this also include doors? Are doors covered?
Unfortunately, no. Think of it as eligible equipment that costs you money to operate from an energy perspective. And so we try to go toward, try to develop a proposal that only addresses upgrading equipment that has a direct impact on your energy bill. So that would typically be refrigeration. If you have large coolers or freezers, large commercial kitchens, lighting, heating, and cooling.
Okay. If the tenant is the one that pays for the service, I gather from this note the organization owns the facility, but the tenant pays for the utilities. If we wanted to pay for the upgrades, what account number can we use?
So does that mean that the owner of the facility does not have a PSE&G account number in their name?
Not clear from the question, unfortunately.
But either way, we could use we do have the ability to confirm eligibility through the tenant, but apply billing on a separate account number from the onset. And so if there's an arrangement made between a tenant and the facility owner, where it says, okay, this is what I want to do, and the landlord agrees to pay for the upgrades, that can be done. We would just specify what is the appropriate account number that will be billed after the installation and upgrades are complete.
Okay, great. Let's see. I believe you answered this, but some people have been coming in at different intervals. How long do you have to pay back the 30%? You said what, 3 years for that?
3 years, yes. There is no prepayment penalty. So if you want to pay it off sooner, you can. You have the option of either paying it in 3 years or in one lump sum. About 90% of our program participants typically chooses to repay PSEG across 36 months or 3 years.
Okay. Another one, is equipment for group homes eligible? They are residential, not commercial buildings.
In certain areas of the building. So we can do common areas, the lobby, mechanical equipment, but we're not allowed to upgrade certain residential spaces, like within the apartment themselves. If something is hardwired, then yes, we can provide an exception, but we typically do small multifamily buildings or residential type group homes, but typically we are limited to common spaces within the building.
Okay.
As it relates to lighting, we don't have that distinction or limitation for heating or cooling equipment.
Okay. What if a single location has multiple accounts?
Great question. What we do is we try to identify all the accounts tied to that location to ensure that the sum of all accounts are below our average 200 kW limit. And once we've determined that, then it's really to the customer's discretion which account number they would like us to bill.
Hardly, do you have any closing thoughts before I close things out in that
Sure,
case?
sure. One thing I would like to say is September 30th is fast approaching. So I strongly encourage everyone listening to log on to our website and complete the web interest form and pre-populate the audit access agreement to ensure you are eligible to take advantage of the program incentives. But if you were to decide to participate after September 30th, you could still take advantage of our program, but you would simply have to wait for the next round of funding. Due to a lot of interest and program demand, really, we are excited on the verge of being approved to do a lot more of this type of work, therefore allowing us to serve more customers. The only downside is that when we will get approval, but when program funds are available is still to be determined for some time next year. But you can still complete the web interest form in order to get in queue to take advantage of those incentives when they do become available. You would essentially become a priority customer for the next round of funding. So that would be my closing comment. September 30th deadline is fast approaching. If you have any major projects that you would like to complete, please complete the form. If you do not complete the form by September 30th, it's not the end of the world. You will be added to the queue for the next round of program funding. And thank you so much, Linda, for your time. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to your members.
Well, thank you, Hardley, for this great information. Many, many thanks to PSE&G, PSEG. PSEG is such a supporter and champion of the community, communities throughout the Garden State, the nonprofit community in particular, and we really appreciate the investments that you have made historically in New Jersey. That does bring us to the end of the webinar. As I said, we will post the link to the recording so you can listen to all of this again, and we'll also post the slides so that you'll have them as well. Please stay in touch with the Center for Nonprofits as well so that you will know what's going on and the other offerings that we're making available. But above all, thank you all for joining us today. Thank you for the work that you're doing to make our communities and New Jersey better. Stay safe, stay well, and we look forward to staying in touch.